The boy sits perfectly still at the dinner table, but his shadow lags behind, repeating each movement, seconds late, snapping back only after every whispered, "Be quiet." His mother freezes mid-turn, and suddenly the boy is smaller. But the chair doesn't match anymore, his proportions snapping wrong, like the room forgot his original size. When he tries to speak, only parts of the room reset. His cup slides backward, his hands jitter forward, as if reality is failing to fully erase him. He walks past his parents, but their eyes track slightly off, following where he used to be, while his footsteps loop twice before actually touching the ground. When he finally stays silent, everything stabilizes instantly, but something feels missing, and no one reacts. Like the space he occupied was quietly removed. The next morning, he waves at his mother, but her animation loops past him, hand passing through his shoulder, as if his layer loads one frame too late. He pulls a chair to sit again,
Hello?
but it
Is
snaps
anyone there?
slightly backward
shadows are
each time he
listening.
touches it,
What?
forcing
I
him
don't
to adjust
understand.
repeatedly.
Wrong. You are wrong.
Like the room resists his position. Trying to speak, his mouth opens, but his lips desync violently, stretching a frame too long, while the table surface ripples slightly, reacting instead of anyone nearby. He taps the table harder now, but his hand hits twice. Then a third phantom hit appears after, while the table dents briefly before snapping perfectly flat again. His father looks up but pauses mid-blink, then resumes, as if nothing happened, eyes never fully aligning with where the boy is standing. The boy steps closer, but each step resets slightly backward, like a loop glitch, preventing him from advancing fully into their shared space. He grabs his mother's arm, but his hand phases through for a frame, then snaps onto her sleeve. Yet, she continues stirring without interruption. Panicking, he shouts, but the room distorts unevenly, only the walls bending slightly while his parents remain perfectly stable and unaffected. He writes, "I'm here," on paper. But the letters fade one by one between frames, disappearing faster the longer he stares at them. He flips the paper toward them, but it resets to blank mid-motion. Snaps nothing back to the table as if the
Everything
message
is fine,
never
dear. You're just
existed.
imagining things.
Now
You're
he moves
perfectly
faster,
normal. Nothing is
waving
wrong.
both
Stop
arms.
making things up. Just listen
But
to
his
me.
movements
You're fine.
loop out
It's
of
all in your
sync,
head.
repeating
Behave
half
now.
gestures
Everything is
that
normal.
never fully complete. His mother speaks calmly, but her voice animation doesn't match her lips, continuing a normal conversation while ignoring his frantic interruptions. He knocks over a glass, yet it freezes mid-fall, then resets upright instantly, water vanishing frame by frame as if undone. He stares at them, trembling, but their animation loops seamlessly, repeating subtle gestures that never acknowledge his presence in any frame. Even when he screams silently, the room continues perfectly, like he was never layered into the scene at all. He runs to the hallway, but his footsteps appear ahead, then behind, overlapping in impossible order, while the floor tiles shift subtly to avoid his landing. He touches the wall, but the imprint
The lights
spreads
are wrong.
sideways instead of matching his hand,
I can't reach it.
stretching unnaturally before
Everything
collapsing
is
backward through
misfiring.
previous frames. He whispers again, testing it. But the lights flicker in a different room entirely, reacting incorrectly, like the house misroutes his presence. He claps loudly, yet nothing nearby reacts. Then distant objects tremble out of sync as if the world registers him in the wrong location. Now the delay grows. He knocks over a chair, but it falls after he already stepped away, reacting to a version of him that's gone. He looks back at his parents, but their positions subtly shift between frames, slightly misaligned, like their reality no longer syncs with his. He tries to stand directly in front of them, but his body flickers, briefly transparent, as if he can't fully occupy the same space anymore. His mother walks forward, passing through him for a frame, then snapping slightly aside, never acknowledging the contact. He screams again. But now his mouth opens without sound or distortion, The room doesn't even attempt to react anymore. He stops suddenly. And for the first time, everything freezes perfectly still. Like the world only stabilizes when he does nothing at all. Testing it, he raises his hand slowly, and the room begins to jitter. Objects vibrating subtly, as if resisting his smallest movement. He lowers it again, and instantly, the environment smooths out, animations resuming perfectly, like his stillness restores order. Now he moves deliberately, and his outline splits into offset layers, each trailing different timings, while the background briefly duplicates behind him before correcting. He tries to touch the floor, but it dips away slightly, like a soft surface rejecting pressure, while his hand jitters between contact and near contact endlessly. Panicking, he jumps, but multiple versions of his landing overlap, each failing differently, until all collapse into a single incomplete motion that never resolves. He slams both hands on the wall, and everything violently distorts, then instantly resets, leaving no trace of the impact. Breathing hard, he realizes even his chest movement lags, expanding and contracting out of sync with his own body. In desperation, he screams and throws everything. But the entire room glitches violently, then snaps back instantly, completely unchanged. After that moment, the world stops reacting entirely. No delay, no distortion, just perfect, cold indifference to everything he does. He stands there, moving frantically, but nothing shifts anymore, like he has been fully removed from the system's response. He rushes to the bathroom mirror, but his reflection appears seconds late, mimicking him incorrectly, like it's remembering him instead of seeing him. Then suddenly, the reflection stops updating entirely. He moves, but the mirror shows nothing. Only the empty room continuing its normal animation. He presses his hands against the glass, but his fingerprints fade instantly, leaving no trace, as if even surfaces refuse to record him anymore. He runs to find an old photo, but when he picks it up, his image flickers between frames, gradually disappearing from the picture. Frame by frame, his figure is replaced by empty space, while the rest of the family remains perfectly intact, smiling unchanged. He shakes the photo violently, but it stabilizes instantly, now completely without him, like he was never captured in it. Desperate, he looks down at himself, but parts of his body flicker transparent, sections missing for frames before snapping back inconsistently. He tries to grab a door handle, but his hand passes through repeatedly, unable to establish contact with anything solid anymore. Slowly, his feet begin to lift, detaching from the ground, hovering slightly as if gravity no longer recognizes him. He struggles midair, movements jittering, his body flickering between positions, unable to stabilize within the environment's coordinate space. He drifts through the hallway, passing objects without interaction while everything else continues perfectly, untouched by his presence. His parents walk past beneath him, their animation seamless, never looking up, as if he exists completely outside their lair now. He tries one last time to scream, but his mouth opens in separate layers, each delayed, while the environment remains perfectly still, refusing even incorrect reactions. Then suddenly, his movements slow unevenly. His head turns normally, but his body lags far behind, splitting his motion into disconnected timelines. Parts of him stop updating entirely. His arm freezes, then duplicates briefly in the wrong position before both versions flicker out inconsistently. Then, piece by piece, his form begins to vanish, sections blinking out between frames without replacement or distortion. The hallway continues normally, but the space he occupied becomes perfectly still, like an unused layer left blank. Later, at the dinner table, the family sits again, but the chairs are slightly repositioned, subtly adjusted to fit one less person. His parents continue eating, looping natural movements, never pausing, never noticing anything missing from their routine. And in the final frame, the empty space flickers once, just slightly, before stabilizing completely, as if even the memory of him was corrected.